trying to be.
Hi, nice to see you.
Step
Sure,
it up.
it's better today. Not as much bandage going on.
We're
ready.
This is nice.
Good best nest to start late.
You know. Here we go. Let's go. Are we ready?
Yes.
All right, let's call the meeting for CCWD to order. It is 1:00 something, I think. And join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So welcome, everybody. I want to say welcome back. Russ, you were out of town for a while, so we're glad to have you home.
All
right.
bandaged up.
All right, so this is time for public comment. At this time, members of the oh, sorry, roll call. Shame on me.
You forgot already, Susan?
I did because he told me I was running the meeting late. So I was just making sure everybody else is letting me know what I'm supposed to do, right? Because hey, you guys had me do this, so remember that next time.
It was just a
Right?
test,
Is
right?
anybody here?
I failed. Okay, here we go. Roll call, please.
Okay, Director Underhill. Here. Director Ratterman,
Here.
Director Davidson,
Here.
Director Thomas,
I'm here.
President Cicada.
Here, sort of. All right, let's go to public comment. At this time, members of the public may address the board on any non-agendized item. The public is encouraged to work through staff to place items on the agenda for board consideration. No action can be taken on matters not listed on the agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Do we have any members of the public wishing? Hi, come on up.
Thank you.
Mhm.
May I present each one of you with a piece of paper so you can keep track of what I'm talking about?
Sure. Thank you.
My name is Jim Davis. I'm a Jackson resident. I was born and raised in Wesleyville, California. The reason I'm talking to you today is about a high bill requirement because it's been needed. And the issue that follows is that report, okay? Okay, so the first paragraph basically tells you who I am. Starting with the second paragraph, incident date of 5/15/21. Tenant was notified of a spinning meter. Only the tenant's children are not adults. On 6/7/21, Maynard Management was notified of the spinning meter. They are caretakers of my property. I was notified on 6/8 that there was a water leak. That's some 23 days after the incident. At approximately 1400 hours, I arrived and parked in a normal parking space. I could hear the water blowing as soon as I drove up to the house. I knew where the water feed comes in. I know where the shutoff is, and I could actually hear it when I shut my truck off. The water was spraying over the hill. After purchasing materials were made by 1800 hours, completed the repairs, notified the tenant that the water would be shut off until the next day until the pipe set up. I returned on 6/9 the following day, turned the water on to stay to make sure there was no water leaks. On 7/7/21, I received a letter of intent to upgrade an AMI meter. That was only put in there to tell you congratulations on you doing that. On 7/23/21, I received a bill stating 67,643 cubic feet had passed through this meter, which equals almost 506,000 gallons of water. And that's according to your bill. That's not my math. On 7/28, I faxed a signed copy of a request for a leak adjustment according to policy. On 8/10, I received credit adjustment of $585, leaving a balance of $1,794. I didn't include the math on that. I just took it for granted that it was correct. On 8/30/21, I faxed a reply to the credit amount requesting to speak with the manager to request the full $1,000 amount allowable and stating why I believe I should be credited that amount. In summary, I was not notified for 23 days after discovery of the leak. I believe the meter reader should have shut the water off at the time of notification and had me, the owner, notified. Numerous phone calls were made trying to settle this issue along with myself driving down in person to find out the person I needed to speak to was not unavailable. This is not a statement against staff or anything. It's just timing didn't seem to work out. 7/20/22, my wife called to request a meeting with the board, was transferred to Rebecca and then to Kelly. I did get a conversation with both these ladies, and it was then that I found out that the $1,000 is not an automatic give back. Let's see, on 7/15/22, a letter was sent out notifying us if the past due amount of $1,016 was not paid by 7/21, a lien would be placed on our property. Unfortunately, the letter was sent to West Clinton address instead of East Clinton. It was returned to sender, then resent to us, but beyond the 7/21 deadline. Also, there was $30 worth of late charges added during this period. So my comment to you, the install of AMI meters is a great thing to do in the district, for the district and as consumers. I have been told you will start doing shut-offs. I hope there's a mechanism in that to differentiate between a lock for non-pay versus a shut-off for a spinning meter. Notification to the tenant as well as the property record would be helpful and I think should be mandatory. 8/2/21, spoke with Kelly, who was very helpful in assisting me understand who is in your organization has the authority to address this issue, and said, yes, I could speak to you today, and I am. So thank you for your time, and I understand you cannot comment, but would hope that you would pass this on to your manager with a direction in this issue. I received a credit of $585 and am requesting a further credit of $450 to bring it up to that $1,000 mark, and I will pay the remaining amount. So thank you for listening to me.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Unfortunately, we can't make any decision today because it's not on the agenda, so we'll work with staff to see if we need to bring it to the agenda or something else will be worked out. Michael, is the portion of the new AMI meters, can customers access their account to see the use? So now in the future, he can go online and look at that now?
Not direct- The interface hasn't been rolled out to customers yet.
Okay. But at some point that'll happen, so that could be something you can use in the future.
Right.
Okay, well, thank you, and we'll work with staff offline, and you'll be notified whether it's on the agenda or something else has happened.
Well, I commend you for the meters and hope that it would save issues like that from that,
Yes.
especially in the drought time.
Yes.
There's a lot of water wasted. Thank you again for your time.
Thank
And
you for your
someone
time.
will be in touch with him. It's in our court now? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further public comment here? What about online, Rebecca? All right, so moving on. Item number 3, the consent agenda. The following items are expected to be routine and non-controversial. Items will be acted upon by the board at one time without discussion. Any board member may request that any item be removed for later discussion. Does anybody want to make a motion or?
The consent agenda?
Well, I wanted to, offline, I can talk about 3E and 3F with Jessica.
Okay, so do
I
you
have
want
some
to,
questions. No, I
you wanna-
won't take up time.
all right, so we'll go ahead and accept a motion.
I'll
from-
second.
All righty, so we have a first and a second. Can we get a roll? No, we can just do it. So all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Seeing none, the consent agenda passes. We haven't done that for a while. That's nice. All right, moving on to item number 4, new business. 4A, presentation of the 2022 high school scholarship awardees, and that's Jessica. Hi, Jessica.
I'm excited to have 2 out of 4 of the scholarship awardees here. Unfortunately, the other 2 were not able to attend today, but hopefully we'll be scheduling another meeting for them to attend. I'll first talk about the 2 that weren't able to attend, just so we can make sure to congratulate them. The first one is Delaney Sullivan. She's from Bret Harte. And she is getting ready to attend Columbia College. She'll be starting next week. And she will be focusing on nursing and with a hope to become a labor and delivery nurse. And the other one from Bret Harte is Megan Johnson. She is planning on attending Cal Poly San Luis Obispo and will be majoring in business and marketing. So we hope that they will be here soon. But today we have 2 other awardees, and they are graduates of Calaveras High School. So I'm first going to introduce Kara Alt, and she will be attending American River College, and she will be focusing on obtaining an EMT license and pre-nursing, and her hope is to become an RN and travel internationally. So here's
Nice.
Kara.
Hi, thank you for inviting me. Start off on my essay. When people ask you what is the one thing they can't live without, most would say their phone or their dog, things that are sentimental to them because those things produce endorphins in their brains that make them feel good. It's good to have things in your life that make you happy. However, in reality, it's not a true necessity. What everyone cannot live without is water. The value of water is extremely overlooked by people who have the privilege to have clean running water. Ask yourself, do you ever have to worry about having enough water to drink, make food with, brush your teeth, take a shower, etc.? The average human adult is made up about 60% or more of water. Our brain, heart, lungs, kidneys, bones, etc. all have high concentration of water that makes it possible for us to be alive. Drinking clean water is essential to not only living, but living healthy. Water travels throughout our body, carrying nutrients, oxygen, and waste to and from our cells and organs. It also helps with the temperature control of our body, keeping us cool. It is essential for the survival of the planet by giving different types of environments for all different types of species. Water also helps with the balance of the Earth's temperature. It is the core to our survival. There is a lack of clean running water around the world, especially in small, underdeveloped countries. We would never expect there to be the same crisis in our own country, considering the amount of money and power we have. However, in America, around 58 out of every 1,000 indigenous households don't have access to clean running water. This is due to faulty, outdated, or non-existent pipes. Sadly, we expect to see this more in poorer, underprivileged countries, not one of the top leading countries in the world. According to the U.S. Water Alliance, Native American households on reservations are 19 times more likely than white households to lack indoor plumbing. The underfunding at the federal level is leaving such a large impact on these reservations by causing an outbreak in diabetes because soda is more accessible than water. Most Native households resort to bottled water or boiled water, which kills the bacteria, viruses, and parasites within the water. This should be a huge concern to more people within not only our society, but our government as well. The water cycle is essential to not only our health and well-being, but to our planets as well. Climate change has been affecting the water cycle and will continue to do so. With the warming of our polar caps and the extreme weather changes, people are having to be more prepared for flash floods and droughts since the rainfall seasons are becoming more and more unpredictable. This also leaves an impact on food supply since not all countries have irrigation systems for farmland and crops. Landscapes such as the wetlands and forests are essential to storing CO2, recharging groundwater, and providing a buffer against storms. Without these natural resources, our O2 levels can decrease, and so can our temperature levels. Our whole existence is only applicable with the molecular compound H2O. Without water, the Earth's temperature would skyrocket and all living organisms would perish. With the level of technology we have in this generation, there should be a great strive to get everyone clean running water. Before we complain again about not having Wi-Fi or not getting the new phone, we need to stop and think about how much we value the basic necessities that we have. To the average American, water is an expectation and a given, but to the people in communities that don't have access to clean water, it is a hope and a wish, and that needs to change.
Very nice.
Thank you. Thank you, Kara. Do you have any questions?
And you will be attending?
American River College.
Uh-huh. How'd you choose to go up there?
Well, I was deciding to go to a 4-year, but my dad and I talked about originally a 4-year or the military, but then we decided community college because it's free in California and I could transfer to a 4-year when I finish, and it's just closer to home and stuff like that. So,
Very good.
There's no such thing as a 4-year college.
yeah.
There's a 4-year sophomore year.
Yeah.
My kids have all had 4-year sophomore.
So weird.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Next, we have Garrett Hesser. He will be attending UC Berkeley, and he will be majoring in ecosystem management and forestry. His goal is to work for East Bay Mud or CCWD in rangeland management.
Nice. Good. Hello, Garrett.
The exceptional value of water. September 9th, 2015. It's 3:30 p.m. As I arrive home from school, I look across the McCalmy River Canyon and see the first plumes of smoke beginning to rise. Within just hours, the fire had crossed the river, and little did I know this would be the start of the Butte Fire, one of the largest fires to ever rip across Calaveras and Amador County, burning 70,886 acres, devastating our community. Fast forward 6 years to the day, and it's 4:30 a.m. I sit in my tree stand, listening to the sounds of the dew dripping from the leaves. As the morning dawns and the land around me comes to life, I watch our cattle grazing across the hill below, just as 5 generations of my family have done before me. I look out across the horizon as the morning glow begins to paint the distant clouds surrounding McCalmy Peak. Laid out below it is thousands of acres of land that feed directly into the McCalmy River watershed. It was at this moment I began to ask myself, as an agriculturalist, how can I use our agricultural systems to not only increase the amount of water that is available within California's watersheds, but also improve its quality? Growing up on a cattle ranch that borders Pardee Reservoir, I've developed a growing passion for watershed management. I've witnessed firsthand how drought, fire, and the overgrazing of cattle all affect the water that runs in the McCalmy River watershed. I've witnessed how our agricultural practices are directly affecting one of the greatest resources we have on this planet, water. Whether it's for drinking, cooking, washing your hands, or any of the uses within the agricultural industry, we all use water on a daily basis. The future of agriculture in California depends on reliable, high-quality water sources in the watersheds of the Sierra Nevadas. The snow and rain that runs off this mountain range provides 60% of the water used within California. As we continue to face drought and other climate-related challenges, as well as an increased demand for water, it has become even more important that we manage these lands to maximize the quality and availability of water. To accomplish the proper management of animals, timber, and soil ecosystems in these watersheds, it will require a combination of human, financial, and natural resources. In order to harness these resources on the scale needed, it will take a collaborative effort between water agencies, private industries, ranchers, timber companies, farmers, government entities, nonprofits, and the community. I see myself right in the middle of this effort as I continue learning to do, doing to learn, earning to live, and living to serve in an effort to maximize the quality and availability of water in California's watersheds. My unique upbringing on a rural cattle ranch in Calaveras County has instilled in me a deep passion for water protection and management. I've witnessed firsthand the value of this incredible resource, which has influenced me to pursue a major in ecosystem management and forestry with a focus on land and watershed management, with the hope that I can use this foundation to serve in a wide variety of ways. I plan to continue my passion for protecting our rangelands by returning to Calaveras to pursue a career in watershed and rangeland management by working for our local water districts. This meaningful career pathway will allow me to help address one of my generation's greatest challenges by conserving and protecting the world's most valuable resource, water.
Thank you. Very nice. Sound like a politician.
No, polished. That's a very polished speech
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
on what today's water. Good job.
Thank you.
It's good to see the Calaveras High School people were able to make their way here today.
Yeah.
Go Redskins.
Red Heart people got lost.
We got lost. They got lost on the way down the hill. Couldn't quite figure it out.
They'll be here in a couple
But
weeks.
they'll be here.
They'll be
here.
Yes, indeed.
Garrett,
Did you
thank
kill a buck?
I did, not that day, but a different day.
Everyone in the room ought to be looking after their job. We look to see you come back here.
Yeah.
Just super
No, that
impressive,
is-
both of you. Best of luck and well-deserved scholarships and really, yeah, we really
Yeah.
hope to see you again in the future. 'Cause I'm
And so
kinda blown
you
away.
already decided that either CCWD or East Bay Mud would be you.
Yeah, I just want to work in the field of rangeland management, whoever it's for. As long as I'm helping solve those problems and work in that field, that's where I'll be happy. So whoever it's working for, that'll fall into place as the years come. But for now, that's my goal.
Oh, great.
Best of
Great.
luck.
Thank
Thank you.
We'll hold the
Russ has
spot for you.
something.
Listening to your presentation, that occurred to me that you have all kinds of possibilities. I don't know what your focus is, but you could be a creative writer. You could be a radio, TV, film, be an anchorman.
We talk about the weather. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Thank you again. Good luck, both of you, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And stay in touch. Yeah.
Is there any public comment on this? Anybody have anything else to say?
The only other thing I would say is thank you to Jessica for managing that program. A lot of work goes into that. So thank you for.
Thank you, Jessica.
Good job.
All right, so there's no action on that. Just, congratulations and good luck, and hopefully we'll see you out there, right? All right, moving on to 4B.
Did they get their check?
Yeah. Discussion action regarding annual resolutions that submit delinquencies to the county tax rolls.
Move for acceptance.
Seriously. You know.
Second.
I would just like to make one adjustment here. As you see in the staff report, this is an ongoing list because we've been working and reducing providing outreach to the customers, letting them know. Right now, the number has actually been reduced from 270,000 to 263,000. So the list that you were adopting will be amended to show the current list. And that's all I have.
When's the due date? Because I heard we received it on like the 7th and it was through the 10th. Is that right?
Yeah, we need to
Something
get
like
this
that.
out. That's why we have it in front of your
Yeah.
board today. But as
You
we
mean the due
continue
date
to
to the
work, we
county?
amend the list.
Yeah, we don't have any more time.
Yeah, I saw that. I went down there to talk to him and I
Yeah.
got the letter. It was, I think we got it the 8th and it was due the 10th or.
Yes.
We actually usually try to do it in July, but
Yeah, that's what I was.
this year and last year, both, it's gone in August.
Remind me about the teeter program.
The teeter plan, basically anything that the district places on the county tax rolls, including our own property taxes that we get 100% of whatever's placed on the tax rolls. Any delinquency is then collected by the county and they receive any interest due and penalties. So we get all our money up front. If there's any delinquencies, they handle that.
Great program.
Okay.
All right, so
Well,
we
the-
have a first and a second.
But a
Go
comment, kind of related to this is we're speaking about placing some of our collectibles on the tax roll. I'd like to see pretty soon the idea of creating a policy to put our entire wastewater bills on the tax roll.
You want to have that on a future agenda item?
Future agenda item, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll make
and
note.
would you, for the board, would you like to see that go through a policy committee first? It could be a finance committee or engineering committee, or just come straight to the board for a discussion item and then we can go from there.
I'm open. What do you guys
Yeah,
want?
it doesn't really matter how it gets here, how quickly it gets here, who it comes to first.
Why don't we plan on just agendizing a discussion item on that issue?
The full board
And then we'll, to the
figure
full
out
board, right? And then we'll.
Okay.
and then we'll go from
Exactly,
there.
yes.
Yeah, see what it looks like and.
Any time frame is when you want that brought back?
When,
Next meeting.
no,
December,
no, when,
A few months.
when staff has time to, and puts it together. No, I don't have a time frame.
I appreciate that because we're in the middle of the audit right now.
Right.
Right.
Starting that process.
There's a lot of stuff going on that we not aware of up here.
Sometime before the end of the fiscal year, maybe?
Before the end of the fiscal year, all right.
With something that's adopted.
No, we
Within-
should be able to bring it.
Within
before
12
then.
months for definite. But no, I'm not gonna state a time.
Well, no, I think we can bring it back. I mean, when we bring it back for a discussion item, we're not going to have a draft policy or anything like that. We'll
Yeah.
bring it back to talk about the issue
Good.
and talk about the trade-offs of doing it.
Maybe you can, yeah, you can have that information
right.
to tell us.
I mean, but the cool thing about this is you get your money right up front and then
Right.
they go collect it. It's a great program for both the county and us.
I definitely want to have a discussion about it.
But we've talked to, I mean, I've in the aqua committee that I'm on, we talk about, there's several agencies, districts, cities, special districts that are doing their own collections. And they get 15-20% of what is due. And the collection, it goes to collections and then they're paying fees and the collection company is making a lot of money on it. So this is great for us and the county gets all of their money back plus a little bit of the delinquent penalties.
And when we return, what I can do is outline the current process. What how it works, some of the challenges we're facing, if we go to the teeter plan, how that would work.
Well,
and some of the
that wouldn't be
challenges.
called a teeter plan, would it?
No.
The sewer
No, no, no,
program.
I'm sorry.
I'm
Well,
not
it
really.
would be part
Just
of the
keep
county
this
tax rolls.
Keep this as it is, and we're looking at wastewater.
And per-
And I misspoke there. It would just be placing it on the tax rolls.
Okay, so we have a first and a second, so did you have a
Well,
comment?
I did, yeah, I wanted to point out, Jeff, you've probably seen page 13 of the Aqua New here, that about the one text program that's been adopted by one of our the Eastern Municipal Water District. They've kind of caught my eye here because they have had great success in just sending people text messages. You know, that they do all the door hangers and all that kind of stuff. But then when they start sending out text messages. So my question is, do we have the ability to capture the cell phone numbers of the clients that, you know, I think everybody saw them, so that they could send out a text message? Because when you read the article, it says that they collected all their delinquencies as a result of these text messages. It's such kind of a, I don't know, my goodness, my bill is overdue. They're taking care of it, so.
And I need to look into that. I'm not sure how many people we have actual cell numbers within our records. But I know part of the process with the AMI system and to roll out more information, we're hoping to gather that information, because some people still don't have text message cell phones here.
But you sent out the letter stating that it would
Yes.
go on the tax roll, and usually when they know that happens, they, at least at MSD, they usually pay.
These folks
Yeah.
did the same thing, that they got
Yeah,
very
text.
high degree of success.
Yeah, so when we finish implementing Tyler, we will have more of that capability than we do currently. So that, you know, that's something we can absolutely look into and follow up on.
It does open up many more opportunities.
I'm ready to vote.
All right, so we have first and a second. Do we have any public comment here? Any online? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, and passes.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Jeff.
you.
All right, item 4C, discussion action regarding approval for a land sale agreement and a lease agreement with Blue Mountain Electric Company for West Point property 012-011-011, and that would be Jessica. No, hi.
So we have one agenda memo item for two resolutions. So I'm just going to give us a little bit of history behind the project. So in 2013, CHIPS purchased property from CCWD located adjacent to our West Point wastewater plant. And CHIPS purchased this property with the intention of building a biomass energy facility. And this energy facility is called Blue Mountain Electric Company Biomass Energy Facility, or BMEC, which I'll refer to going forward. So over the past 10 years, CHIPS and BMEC have been working together collaboratively to implement this project, going through permitting, securing funding, and all of those things. And this project is right around $35 million, and it has received a lot of support from funding agencies. Most recently, the project was awarded $1 million from CAL FIRE, and we did provide a letter of support for that one, and a $400,000 grant from the Sierra Nevada Conservancy. The project, the financing is anticipated to be complete in the third quarter of this year, and construction is going to start immediately after, and it's anticipated for this fall. So recently, CHIPS has asked CCWD to buy back that property. And if CCWD moves forward with purchasing this land, there will be, I think, some benefits to that and the project's success. This project will improve watershed health across the watershed, as well as provide reduced fuels for catastrophic wildfires throughout the West Point community and surrounding areas. CHIPS and CCWD have drafted a purchase agreement, and BMEC and CCWD have developed a lease agreement to facilitate project development. Thank you.
I don't remember, I mean, I don't remember off the top of my head, but why we sold the property to them and why they wanted us to buy it back. Well, could you explain that
That's-
again?
Yeah, so the initial sale, I think we carved out, we actually have it's kind of a hole in the middle of a much larger parcel. We still have, I can't remember exactly the total acreage that we have out there, but a few hundred acres. We have two of our wastewater facilities, Wilseyville and West Point wastewater facilities are kind of on either side of it. This parcel though was carved out. It was, I think, identified as a good site for this type of project. But here we are 10 years later, and the really remarkable amount of work that's gone into developing the project, getting all the required approvals. It's, it's taken that long, and we do have a representative from CHIPS here today, so we can hear more of the painful details on that. And then now it's kind of at the point where CHIPS is evolving into a different role. They'll still be involved in the project as a supplier, but they don't need to be the landholder. They have made some improvements to the property though. And we actually, from CCWD's perspective, it's in our interest just because of the construction activity that we have going through that property, that contract to consolidate those wastewater facilities is already out. And that work will be starting soon. We're in discussions with the project developer about ways that they may be able to utilize the treated effluent from our wastewater facility. So I think there's a lot of potential back and forth between the the co-located facilities essentially. So I think there's some work that we can do together, and it'll be streamlined, I think, if CCWD is the property owner again. So I think it's just a question of kind of evolving roles of the participants in the project.
Okay, thank you.
Have you run this through a broker? I mean, is 142,000? Is that?
Yeah, well, we didn't use a broker, but we have had legal review of the contract. And yeah,
And the price that we're paying for it is,
yeah, there's been a lot of negotiation about that.
Well,
And
that's
it
what I
has
meant,
to do partially with the improvements that have been made to the property and the entitlements that are on the property and the potential upside of the project moving forward. So there's kind of a lot of different factors that went into the price.
are we paying more than the original?
Yes.
Okay, but that's based on the improvements that have been
Right.
made and everything, and so.
Well, it's based on.
It's based on those improvements and based on the value of the lease that's attached to it now.
Yeah, and the potential future value, rent.
So when is the lease supposed to start again?
Now
How much time frame did they have?
It'll start, so we'll execute the lease following approval. The payments will start upon the notice to proceed to the contractor to start construction, hopefully this fall. And then the lease amount increases at the commercial operation date, which is the date the facility starts to export electricity to the grid.
Do they have to, is there like a deadline of when the lease is going to start regardless of where they are in construction, or is that not relevant?
No, it's the notice to proceed on construction.
Okay.
But we get 8 cents a month
That's right,
between
up until then.
today or tomorrow and whatever.
Right.
Something changes.
Right.
That's good. At least we have.
It's not nothing.
It's not nothing.
What's the status of the log deck that's on the?
So we did make some changes as part of, we made some changes a couple weeks ago to address that issue. So the log deck will be, but there's a portion of it that we know needs to be relocated in order to because it's within the alignment of the pipeline that we're constructing. So that'll be addressed in the agreement. And then if for some reason the project,
How will it be addressed?
that's with Blue Mountain Energy. So the lessee, the project developer.
So they're taking the responsibility.
They are
of
taking
that
the
log deck.
responsibility of moving the logs. And if for some reason the project doesn't proceed by the end of the calendar year, they're responsible for removing them.
By the end of this calendar year.
Yeah.
And in the lease, it does say that when they leave 20 some odd years or whatever it is, they'll have nothing like that laying around.
Well, that's the lease
Something
portion.
used.
Right. And, no, we
September
added
lease.
that to the lease as well.
Okay, good.
Okay, I was curious about the exciting opportunity that we had.
Well, I'll move for acceptance.
Second,
Okay, we have a first and a second. Board, Russ, do you have something to say?
These
You
are,
look like it.
these are two items here, right?
Yeah, do we have to do them as one or they each separate?
I think separate motions, and actually there is a third item that isn't a separate resolution, which has to do with granting permission to use. So the lease is for a 7-acre portion of the larger 13, 14-acre parcel. By letter agreement, we want to give the Blue Mountain Energy the right to use the rest of that 14-acre parcel. There's maybe for log
Yeah.
deck storage. We didn't include that in the lease itself. So I think if we would need separate motions to adopt these two resolutions, one for the purchase agreement, one for the lease, and then just a third motion that can be a minute order authorizing me to grant Blue Mountain Energy
Do you want us to
permission.
make one motion for both of the sale and the lease?
No.
No, one
Or do
motion.
you want us to
motion
vote
for
on
each.
this
So
and then we'll
Yeah.
make another motion?
So we have a
Sounds
motion
good.
on the table with a second for the sale agreement right now.
Yep. All right, so do we have any public comment? We have Jeff back there.
Yes, Mike and I had discussed it earlier. We will be returning to the board for a budget adjustment for this item.
Right.
Since it is not included in the current budget.
Got it.
So there's some financial obligations that are triggered pretty, immediately after this is approved. But yeah, to true up the budget with the purchase, we'll have to bring that back to the board.
I think it's-
Great. Any public comment online? All right, so we have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, so purchase of the land
And-
sale.
I should have introduced Jill sooner, but Jill's the
Oh, yeah.
executive director at CHIPS, and came all this way to be here for this. So I don't know if you wanted to make any comments, Jill, but yeah, I think we're.
I always say never speak when it's going good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll make a motion adopting the lease agreement with Blue Mountain Electric Company Energy Facility.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a person. All right, so we have a comment from Russ.
Michael, if I could direct your attention to page 8 of the lease. I'm just really curious about why under G. 17G. Why has the lessor, are we required to maintain insurance for a reasonable level of general liability, public liability, and property insurance? Couldn't that be better handled by additional insurance by the lessee?
Matt, do you have a comment on that? That might.
Hey,
So
PJ?
I was trying to pull the lease up, but I don't have it in front of me because I don't know if you know, I couldn't get on your websites down. But so I'll take a look at
I
that, Russ.
think
to make
it's
sure
possible
not-
that might, I'm glad you caught that, Director Thomas. That might be a typo. So lessor to maintain insurance.
Be lessee.
Let's see.
I mean, typically, anytime I lease to somebody else, they have to provide additional
Additional
insurance.
insurance.
And we do have that in here, lessee's obligation to
Where's
carry
it at?
insurance.
Oh, it's up on C.
And the lessor shall be named as additional insured. That's in item C. So is
Yeah.
item
That's
G to
pretty
be
much-
removed, maybe?
Is that in there perhaps because of the side agreement? Where
Use the
we're,
land?
we're basically allowing them,
Yeah, I mean, cause to be maintained is kind of what we're doing in the rest of the agreement.
You're talking about which section again? Remind me.
17G.
G.
what we expected to see was the 17C, which is pretty standard, occupancy, leasing, additional insured information, but Russ
Right.
brings up a good point. That we will maintain insurance.
Yeah, we'll fix that. That should be lessee.
Well, it does talk about it. Look up at.
Up
C.
above, yeah, up above, they're required to do it. So they're required in 17B to maintain the insurance and to maintain insurance on the improvements. We're not responsible for loss of their,
Well, maybe we just need to make an explanation of what we would insure.
we wouldn't insure anything, we would only insure our
Right.
own property,
The
which
surrounding
we would have
property.
anyway. We would have that provision anyway, because our policies cover all our properties. And we'll still own this property. So we'll have insurance. They will also have insurance on the property. We will both. Because
We'll
we
have
maintain
insurance for anything
liability
that
insurance.
any liability that they caused.
Right,
We will have it for anything that we cause.
Right.
correct.
So
That's what that
does
provision.
Scott,
So maybe that is, supposed to be.
Yeah,
less,
no,
I
right?
think it's probably supposed to be around.
I
That is
agree.
correct.
You think it's
The,
right.
the different word in G is reasonable levels of general
Right.
liability, public liability and property. I think
I
the
think
reasonable
that applies
levels
to,
is not very specific and kind of general. The whole paragraph, all of 17 is talking about the lessee's responsibility to carry insurance. So they're definitely going to have insurance and we're not taking ours off
Correct.
the property. It would be definitely, it should be secondary is without having to read through all this. I'm not sure. But Matt, you probably can be fairly sure that they're going to be primary.
They will be primary.
Yeah, so that.
yeah, so I think that's right.
Yeah.
And we did actually, and I don't recall who it was, but in a previous discussion on this, one of the directors asked whether we had checked with JPIA on the coverage amount that we're requiring in here, and we did do that, and we increased it based on their recommendation, so.
Correct.
We're asking for $2 million.
Right.
That's
so,
what JPI.
Good catch,
recommended.
Russ.
yeah,
Well, actually, I think it's right. I
is
think
correct.
that,
No,
but I'm
yeah.
glad you clarified it. Yeah.
It is, there's different wording. I mean, we're
Right.
not going to take ours off the surrounding
Right.
property or the property that we're leasing. And it's not, and it doesn't talk about fire insurance. It's not our property too, so it wouldn't be primary. It is just general liability, public liability and it does say property insurance though.
But it is our
general.
property. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to sidetrack this, but I'm just thinking about some future claimant that might, a prudent lawyer might look over this and say, okay, well, the CCWD has deep pockets too. You got injured on that property. It was the fault of the Blue Mountain folks, but this clause here says that CCWD is on the hook for liability also. So could we add the term secondary coverage, or is that?
Yeah, I don't know.
or would you remove it?
Did you read, I mean, I'm sure you went through the whole thing, but on the left-hand side, it pretty much covers what their insurance requirements are.
Mhm.
And then as the landowner, we would be subject to that anyway.
Okay, well.
Yeah, we're gonna be brought in
in.
If there's an incident on that property, we're definitely going to be brought in as a, on any lawsuit, just because we are the owner of the property. And it is good to have that in the lease that we're required to carry insurance. We're not taking any insurance off of that.
I'm glad you raised the question though. So Matt, do you see anything you think needs to change there, or just glad we clarified it?
No, I mean, I think it's fine. I mean, if you're more comfortable, I have to go through. I want to say their obligations are primary up above. It talks about it anyway, but I mean, if you're concerned about that, they're going to be primary. Their insurance will be primary. We'll be additional insured on their insurance. And we wouldn't have taken it off whether that provision's in there or not. We insure all our own property always. So they haven't signed it yet. We can add that provision. That's not an issue. I can add that their insurance will be primary. That's not an issue. If it'll make you more comfortable.
That good?
Yeah, no, that'd be a good idea. And in
You-
just a second, just because we both have an insurance, the one paragraph 17 talks about insurance only, but it's mainly about the lessee's insurance and responsibility And it does get down to G that we're required to carry insurance. And I think just a comment at the end, which will be secondary to the lessees would
Well,
suffice.
you might even read up here in C. I mean, it does talk if they don't provide insurance that we can get it and they'll have to pay for it.
Well, that-
And I can assure you, whoever's financing this is gonna require that they're insured.
And paragraph B goes into details and all the specific type of policies they are required to carry.
Yeah, all
in
the,
any
all the
way.
prelim stuff is the important stuff. I don't know that is all that, I think that change.
So we have a motion and a second. Do we need to update this motion as amended or anything like that? Or are we good the way Scott has
I
it?
don't want to do that. I think it's okay.
What do you think, Scott? You're the
No, I did. There's nothing wrong with a couple extra words in there to clarify. I think it's a good, we can adjust the motion.
Okay, why don't you do that?
As, as long as the
amended.
discussion on, let's do something with it.
So change your motion to approve as
Amended to
amended.
do what?
To
To
what?
to include
What Matt
just
said.
the words that it's going to be secondary, just what Matt just suggested.
Yeah,
Is that
just
your
that,
recommendation?
Yeah.
that is, yes, that's fine. I don't have an issue with adding that language. I think it just clarifies what I think's already there, but it'll avoid any confusion. So, and all I'll add is under 17G that any insurance carried by us will be secondary, and that all insurance provided by the lessee is primary.
Okay, so your motion is to approve as amended for clarification or something?
I don't honestly want to change it. I think that language is there because it's standard language and looking through this, it looks like every other lease that I've made anybody sign.
All right, so let's do this.
You want to withdraw?
I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay, and what about you, Scott? Are you keeping it the first time or are you gonna do it as amended?
I'll make a motion that we approve the lease agreement. Well, I made the motion in the first place. I'll amend my previous motion to include the language as just suggested by council.
Second.
All righty, any public comment here in the building? Seeing none, any public comment online, Rebecca? All right, so all those in favor
Aye.
and those opposed? It passes. So now we need the one authorizing.
So yeah, and this can just be a motion in minute order that would authorize. So basically what the letter agreement does, gives them the permission to use the remainder of the parcel. And what the way that we drafted it is that it ties back to the insurance and all the requirements that are in the lease, to extend that coverage to any activities on the rest of the parcel.
So you want a motion on that or?
Yeah, so it'd be,
Is that like with notice or is there any, you have to, alert us to?
no, I think the intent behind it was just to tell them as long as the lease is in effect, they have permission to use the rest of that parcel as well.
Pursuant to the same terms as a lease.
Right.
All right, so we have a motion by Scott. Do we have a second?
Second.
That's Bertha. Any public comment? Seeing none here. Any public comment online? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? And number 3 of that passes.
And so we'll probably, if it's okay with the board, we'll probably just bring the budget amendment back and put it on consent for the next agenda.
I think that's
But we'll
good.
bring project updates back. Unfortunately, Greg Stengel with Blue Mountain Energy wasn't able to be here today, but I know he wants to
Yeah, he-
present to the board more details about the project, and we'll keep the board informed as it moves forward.
There are so many people in the community and in Northern California that are excited about this project, I mean, including our Congressman, Mr. McClintock, who we visited with 2 weeks ago. He wants to, it was mentioned, he wants to specifically come up and take a look at it and is very excited about something like this going into our little county here. Thank you very much and good luck moving this thing forward.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Jill, and to the whole CHIPS team. It's been a really long road, so appreciate all the work that went into it and look forward to helping however we can.
All right, thank you.
President Cicada, I would like to hear more from this young lady. Jill, what's your name?
Yes, my name is Jill Michaud, and I'm
Wonderful.
the executive director.
Come on and tell us what your role is there with Chip. What's Steve Walensky doing these days?
You thought you were out of here, almost.
Shoot.
I didn't tell you that.
Well, and so,
Depends on how long you go.
let's see, my name is Jill Michaud. I live in Arnold, California, and up until about a year ago, well, I'm retired. Okay? I worked for Sandia National Labs for 25 years and moved to Arnold when I retired in 2014. I spent the time between 2014 and a year ago basically writing grants and working with Calaveras Resource Conservation District, doing grant work for forestry work. And I was the administrator for the ACCG, which is the Amador Calaveras County
Consensus group.
something, yeah. And a year ago, I came to work for CHIPS, basically to do their grants and agreements. CHIPS works, as you probably know, with the Forest Service in all their various districts, and we have a lot of grant work going on. And so I was doing that, and when I came on board, then our director left, our executive director left, and so I filled that spot. And so that's my position now. And I just kind of, trying to keep my head above water. But I'm very excited about this project. We're excited to sell the land. It's going to help us. And I think it's going to help Phoenix Energy to and BNC to actually move forward with the project. I spoke with some contractors who can move all that junk off of the site. Those of you who visited the site know that it's just stacked high with stuff. So we have a way of doing that. And I also wrote the last grant for Phoenix Energy or for BMAC to get that CAL FIRE $1 million grant. We have the contract in place for that, and that means we can actually break ground. So Greg is on vacation. He'll be back later today or something, and I expect that you're going to see some action on the project, some actual action on the project really, really soon. It's taken 10 years to get it here. There's just been so much work done with, like you guys probably know, all the permitting and everything. But everything is in place, and we are ready to break ground. So
Well, we're
thank you for
excited.
your help. Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much for your help.
It is a great project.
Well, congratulations
Yeah.
and thank you for moving it
Thanks.
forward.
Yeah, we couldn't have done it without you.
Have you been working with Pat McGreevy?
Well, I don't have very well.
Oh, okay.
I administered a bunch of his grants for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
One other question, we occasionally have like clearing of logs and stuff out of ditches. Are we gonna be able to take those to this facility when it's up and running? So we don't have a long haul or don't have to deal with it?
Yeah, it's a good question. You might know more about that. I know they have to be careful about what comes in, but
Right.
it has to meet certain requirements.
I say yes. I
Yeah.
say yes. From what I understand from talking to Craig and Todd, his engineer, they can take almost anything or, to actually throw into the gasification unit and turn it into biochar. So yes, that would be great. And hopefully CHIPS will have some capability of assisting with that, some transportation. I'm looking for a grant for some electric vehicles that can go around and get that stuff and deliver it to the site, and then they can plug into the electric grid that's being made by the site.
You
So,
almost
yeah,
made it through
exciting.
this without stepping in it. but
Yeah.
I'm afraid you just did. No, I'm just, good luck.
That's for another meeting, right? When Greg is here.
Thank you,
Greg-
Jill. Really appreciate it.
Michael, Greg is the one from the Blue Mountain. that
Yes,
we-
yes, he's the one.
We'd
that
like
met
to
out
have
there,
him out
but
here, I think, too.
We have some thoughts about the electric vehicle fleet rule is all. So, yeah, no, but
All
thank you,
right.
Jill, and thank you, Chips. And
Yeah.
as we joked about up on the site, now that Chips put 10 years of work into making this happen, it's now going to be the CCWD biomass plant. So we'll swoop in at the end and take all the glory. So thank you.
All right, thank you again. So now we're going to move on to item number 5, reports, and we have the operations and engineering departments. Damon, what is this one?
Good afternoon, directors. Apologies on the ops report. I am not a time traveler. That should say July 1st through July 31st, not June 31st, but I digress. So a couple of things I want to highlight before I power through the brief presentation. For the month of July, field crews repaired 62 service laterals throughout Calaveras County and replaced 13. If you look at the operations manager's report, you see approximately around a 20% reduction in water production over year. So definitely seeing the effects of conservation and the drought and the work effort that Calaveras Conservancy and Brett Spencer team are putting into that effort. So operations report, rather than provide you with a bunch of the gory service lateral details, I thought I'd focus on some other departments. So this is a project at our D tank pressure system in Rancho Calaveras, where our electrical crew, through the capital outlay of last year, we purchased a generator. It took almost a year to get it. And so we were able to, it took forever. And we were able to pour a slab and run the conduit over to the slab, and our electrical crew worked with the construction and mechanical crew to have that generator set. Now that system is up and operational. If you remember, we used to have a trailer mounted generator kind of pulled up to the inside of the gate open, chained to the side of the post so nobody could steal it. This is a permanent installation, automatic transfer switch, it's good to go.
And do you have cameras around it?
Not at that site. We don't have security cameras there. That's an interesting question. We have security cameras at some sites. We could use security cameras probably at every remote site. We have 80 plus sites, so it becomes an interesting consideration when you start to look at what the financial impact would be, but we definitely need to look at our facilities from a security standpoint. Cameras make a lot of sense.
How about cameras here?
We do have cameras here. So interesting point about cameras nowadays is they now will text you, and you can actually put parameters in certain cameras systems. So we actually have a meeting tomorrow to talk to a camera rep whose equipment we use here and at our shop and warehouse to talk about that very thing.
You were telling me about the fuel.
Oh yeah, yes, we have experienced a fuel rouster here a few different times. We get them on film, we send that information over to the sheriff's department, and we just keep developing a track record. So actually, next week, we start to break ground on site improvements here, and a component of that will be an upsize of the fence behind the administrative building here, and as you know, fencing all around the new warehouse shop and site. So we look to put an end to that. Here's some of the electrical crew at work, relocating high-speed radio communication equipment. This is at our C tank site in Copperopolis.
Did we rent that equipment or?
That's our bucket truck in action.
That's that
$136,000. That's it.
The one that Russ and Cindy said no.
Thank goodness we have it.
If you look at that too, it's kind of out and over the pump station building. So we're able to actually get it into some really good spots to get some work done.
I didn't realize that it was kind of like a knuckle boom. That's
What do one of those things cost to rent if you were stuck in that position?
Yeah, about that. Yeah, about $1,000 a day. Yeah. So, no job too large or too small. This is the electrical crew repairing lighting in the West Point water treatment facility. And then electrical crew running wiring into the addition of offices that our facilities maintenance tech George so aptly constructed in this building here. So it shows the coordination between a bunch of different departments there.
When was that picture taken?
About a month ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Haven't been back there in a while.
Yeah, you got to come back and take a look.
Going on.
I can't see it from 30,000 feet.
Thank you. Exactly.
You might just want to keep.
I think this is a great picture here. So this shows one of our senior construction crew members and Charles, district engineer, working on a project that Charles is in the midst of designing. A construction crew is going to install a replacement of the UV system in Forest Meadows. It's turning out to be quite the complicated project. There's a lot of piping in the ground there. But, just real-time work happening, taking place, changes being made, and those changes being discussed out in the field. It's good. And
How
then
much Forest Meadows is watching you?
luckily, we're kind of in the back 40 behind the gate of the waste facility. But when you go up to Heather Tank, everybody's watching us. And so, yeah. And we're keeping them in the loop. I think there's a positive back and forth conversation going on with the whole project. And that's the tank project. And then to add, so here's some photos from Family Day up at White Pines, which I just think was a phenomenal
Oh, yeah.
event and great all hands meeting. Just overall a great day. We had a tour at the Hunter's Water Facility, water treatment plant. You'll see some of these pictures. The picture in this slide on the right is at the Hunter's plant. I just thought that was great. I just picked up my phone and in a flash, two kids, automatic smiles looking right at us. I thought I was being sly, but I wasn't. I didn't pull it
I
off.
like that. It's a good picture.
Yeah. Some great shots of Family Day. And
Did we mention already how many children were there? Over 30.
yeah, over 30.
30.
Yeah.
Got
So
some
I think-
producers here, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
It was great. And Evans Pass Fire came out and did a demonstration with one of their trucks that the kids loved. The whole thing was really well done by our wellness committee. And I know my boys loved it. They got to the end of the treatment plant tour. And the part they got most excited about, as cool as the treatment plant was, is they saw Scott Lunsford's motorcycle in the back of the treatment plant. Oh, motorcycle.
Yeah.
But no, it was awesome. Yeah, it was really.
Yeah,
good.
hats off to the wellness committee.
No, it looks like a great
Yeah,
time.
it was great.
That's awesome.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Damon.
All right.
Thank you.
Good
Thanks for the-
report.
Thanks for
Enjoy
the
the
pictures.
Looks like it's General Manager Michael's time.
Okay, Damon stole my thunder a little bit about the courtyard. It's okay. But we should see you'll see some activity out here probably before the next board meeting. I think next week they're gonna just get started. I think they're pretty eager to ramp up pretty quickly. And so we'll see the site improvements happening out here over the next few months. So that's exciting. And then we already covered the Bring Your Kids to Work Day. We also have those sticking on the party theme. Our 75th/6th birthday is coming up. So the RSVPs are coming in, and a lot of planning going into that, but it should be a great event. So hopefully see all the board members there on the 25th.
What time are you thinking about starting that?
I think it starts at 4. Is that right? Yeah.
4?
And then the other thing that, so since Damon stole my thunder on the courtyard, I'll mention some other work that he's doing that wasn't included in his report. But I think it's worth reminding the board that, we're still really actively engaged on the Clean Fleets rule and the CARB development of that rule. And Damon in particular is leading the charge on that effort. He's really one of the key people that Aqua relies on when they have set up calls with the CARB board members and with key CARB staff. They always bring Damon in to be a part of those discussions and a part of those presentations. And I think in a really smart move, Damon recently invited them to come up and see what we would have to deal with in different circumstances, different terrain, different weather conditions, and the practical implications. So kind of calling them on their view from Sacramento to come up here and see what that would actually look like. So just want to give Damon a shout out for the ongoing role that CCWD plays in that process. And I think, thanks to his work, we've just kind of continued to be a really active participant in those discussions. And then just real briefly, so we had Legal Affairs Committee yesterday. The two biggest items, I think, on everybody's radar, well, the biggest on everybody's radar is SB 222, which is the Low Income Ratepayer Assistance Program that has gone through various iterations. And there's a lot of concern about the funding mechanism that will be there. There was a lot of discussion about which agency it would sit with, and it's now it would be with the water board. But there's a lot of trepidation involved in that, and it doesn't really have a specific funding mechanism identified. And Aqua's pushed really hard to make sure that it doesn't fall on water agencies, and that we're prohibited from funding those types of programs by Prop 218. So they make sure there's a separate funding source identified. There's just a lot of advocacy that's gone into it, but ultimately the latest version of the bill, the author did not accept Aqua's proposed amendments. So Aqua has moved to an opposed position on the bill, opposed unless amended. So we'll keep you posted on that, because it could have implications for us in the coming year. The other one that Aqua's less focused on, but I'm very focused on, is AB 1717. That's the one that would subject all forest management work to prevailing wage. And we'll find out tomorrow whether that will get pulled off of the suspense file in the Senate Appropriations Committee. And if it does, there's already a group we have a call scheduled for Friday at 8 a.m. To talk about what the next steps are in the coalition to oppose that. So we'll keep the board informed on that one as well. We had well, I guess I'll stick with forest management really quick. The ACCG's funding coordination committee was met yesterday. That's one that Jessica usually participates in for us, and I was covering for her because she was on the NCPA. She's on the Dam Safety Inspection PERC and DSOD for our North Fork project. So Jessica participated in that yesterday. That's where Brad is today. And so I covered for the ACCG Funding Coordination Committee call, and I was glad to check in with that group again. It had been a while. And there's just a lot going on between UMRA, between us, between CHIPS, and all the other groups that are moving projects forward. The project that we recently have co-sponsored, is not the right word, but another project with the CalAm team, with Pat McGreevy, where CCWD would be the fiscal agent, and it's I think a $1.7 million grant application that has we think a very good chance of moving forward with the Sierra Nevada Conservancy. UMRA has a tremendous amount of work going on, so I think we're going to start. Jessica and I have talked about developing a presentation on kind of pulling all the different efforts together and making sure that we're spreading the word about all the good work that's going into those projects, and CCWD's role in moving those projects forward. The Eastside Groundwater Sustainability Agency met yesterday. No, not yesterday, Friday. And I think it was probably one of our more productive meetings in a while. There's been kind of a series of delays, unfortunately, with that effort. But we had more engagement from Stanislaus County, multiple staff members here, and Supervisor Withrow from Stanislaus County participated in the meeting, along with multiple members, staff members and supervisors from Calaveras County. Director Thomas was there, and along with Brad and myself, and I think a more productive meeting. Still a lot of unanswered, unresolved questions, but we hope to make some progress in the next couple of months, so we're not continuing to kick it down the road. So hopefully more to come on the GSA. I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. Any questions for Michael? Awesome.
Drought.
We got some rain last week, so we just called up the drought.
Oh, it's over?
Yeah, it's over. No, actually,
He ordered the rain.
there have been a couple of drought orders that have come out just in the last week, and to the extent where we shifted off of our Bear Creek diversion in West Point and onto the Middle Fork, and then found out yesterday we could move back to Bear Creek if there was enough water there because of the priority date on that water right. But for the most part, every water right in California is curtailed unless you're diverting from storage, or you're among the oldest rights out there. So but outreach
That's what I was
is an
concerned
ongoing
about,
effort.
yeah.
Jessica's really led the effort with Calaveras Conserves. So we'll continue outreach through that group. And we also gave Legal Affairs Committee an update yesterday on additional responsibilities that small water agencies are going to have and the county going forward. For the most part, the requirements to have a water shortage contingency plan and an urban water management plan and all the different drought plans and obligations that we have are for agencies that are 3,000 customers or larger, or 3,000 acre feet per year or larger. So none of the other water agencies in the county fall into those requirements, but that's changed. So they will now have to, even smaller agencies will have to do a sort of a streamlined or smaller version of a drought action plan or water shortage contingency plan. We've reached out to them to let them know they can use our materials and we can help them kind of navigate that process. The county's going to have a role in drought planning going forward. So we're trying to make sure that those agencies understand what the new obligations are and that we're kind of taking a central role in coordinating that. I think that's the role CCWD should play.
So as far as our customer outreach is concerned, that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah, we just did another press release recently, I think.
Yep, we just pushed a press release out last week, and that was on behalf of Calaveras Conserves. So we pushed that out. We put bill stuffers in envelopes. When you go to our website, when it's running, hopefully it's running again, it's back up and running. That's the first thing that pops up. We've been pushing it out as much as we can, signs all around the county. And I met with Joel Metzger earlier this week. We met as a group with Calaveras Conserves last week, and we are going to put together a 1-minute drought video on behalf of Calaveras Conserves. So we'll be pushing that out in a few weeks. It'll take some time, but the two of us are working on that. So just moving along, continuing to try to keep it at the forefront of conversation whenever I'm talking to partners out in the community.
And did you say you had inserts in?
Yep, there were bill inserts for cycle 2. The last bill that everyone received, and bill inserts just went out for cycle 1 this last billing period.
Okay, thank you.
And speaking of outreach, if I could, you reminded me of a couple other things. One is the construction project, the collection system improvement project in Copper is about to kick off. The board awarded that contract recently. So we're having our first kind of kickoff meeting with the contractor here this week. But as soon as we have a schedule from them, we're going to start setting up some outreach meetings in the community with the HOAs and others down there to make sure they are aware of what the construction impacts will be.
Is that the one that went to Mazingo?
It did go to Mazingo, yes.
Yeah.
And then we still are battling a disinfection byproduct issue in the Evans Pass water system. And so that's an ongoing kind of outreach effort, and Blue Lake Springs has now has an exceedance on their side. So we're working very closely with them to make sure they understand all the outreach requirements that are associated with that. And we're ramping up our efforts. We've thrown a lot of different things at that issue, and so far haven't fully resolved it. And so we've got a new plan in place to figure out what the root cause is and address that issue, hopefully.
I know the letters from is it the State Water Resource Control Board? That's.
Well, the letter to each customer in the Evans Pass service area initially went from us, but it's language that the water board had to approve when it went out. And that was back in late 2020, early 21. And that's still the compliance order that we're working under. There's a new one that's been issued for Blue Lake Springs. So we expect we expect to hear about that. And we've told them, we've provided all the information that we can to them, and we're working with them on what the resolution will be. So it's a tricky problem. It's partly a function of the fact that we've done so much work up there. We've made huge investments in the pipelines, the leak mitigation efforts and providing, making sure we have adequate fire flow in the communities up there, and that creates a water age issue. And so it's kind of, in some ways, it's a byproduct of all the great work that we've done in upgrading the infrastructure up there. The water sits in the pipes longer, and it can create this disinfection byproduct issue, which isn't really a huge public health concern, but it does exceed the water board standard for that. So still working on addressing that issue.
All right, moving on, item number 6, we have board reports, information and future agenda items. So we'll just go ahead and start with you, Bertha.
Just a quick thing. At one point, we talked about having each one of the department heads coming and giving just a quick little, making a quick little presentation to the board. Whatever happened with that?
We can, yeah, we have, we've gone back and forth on that, but yeah, we can revisit that.
Like I said, they ran that by me.
Do it on the day that you're not going to be able to be here.
Yeah, why don't we circle back and talk about whether we can alternate with the ops report and other departments and or combine a few. We'll put some thought into that and get
Yeah,
back to it.
I think that's beneficial to the board.
And so that was, you wanted each department head to come in and just say hello, give a little update on what they do?
You know,
And like just here in this department head, or actually people out in operations? Or do we only
Well,
have one
the
department? head?
department heads are just.
We've heard enough of operations.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
those are
the
nice.
other department heads that you would hear for are people that you tend to hear from pretty regularly anyway.
Right.
So it would be Jeff and Stacy and Brad. And so for the most part, you do hear from them pretty regularly, but we can.
but they always come
Sorry,
in
and
and they
Jessica.
always are, you know, they're talking about one item that's on the agenda, but I'm interested in what their department is all about and, what they want or,
How
Oh,
it functions. So like Jessica with customer service and Jeff with the, okay, like with the staff and the projects they're working on. or-
6-hour meeting.
Just
Well,
as long as you don't
this was
ask
a
them,
very
as long as you don't ask them what they want. Okay, no.
yeah.
Yeah, why don't we'll work
We
together
talk
and come back
offline and
on
figure
that.
out how to dial in something like
Absolutely.
that. Is
Happy
that
to.
okay, Bertha? In fact, let's you and I work on it and talk to him or something.
Okay.
Because I do like that, but I think we need to be a little bit more specific of if it's just these guys that are already here, we
Yeah.
already do that. But, okay,
Sure.
cool. What
We'll work
else,
with you on
Bertha?
that.
I'm good.
All right, Scott.
Okay, I had forgot, Joel Metzger at Utica told me quite a while ago, a couple of months ago, that they got a $1.2 million grant from CAL FIRE. I don't know if anyone else has brought this up in another meeting for fuel reduction and forest management. And they're going to be exercising at 220 acres around Hunter Dam, which is going to really help us around our
Right.
Hunter Dam facility. And that project is ongoing. I just wanted to mention the October 20th event. Wildfire Water Wine gonna be held in Murphy's October 20th, on October 20th. It's a co-production between Aqua and Mountain Counties. Hopefully everyone in the room can register for that. It's going to involve a tour and then a reception in the evening.
Were you registered for that again? I don't think I wrote
So
it down.
registration's not open for it just yet, but we're finalizing details. Hopefully have that
And will
up
you send
soon.
that to each of us board
Oh,
members?
absolutely. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
October 20th and what?
October 20th.
At Murphy's Hotel.
Actually at the
Maybe.
Native Sons, I think.
That's what I have on my calendar.
Okay.
Well, we'll know where to find you.
October 20th.
You guys know me somewhere.
October 20th.
Earth will be at the bar, I guess.
Show
What is it called
show
again,
up Murphy's and we'll get you to the
I
right
think
place.
the tentative title was Water, Wildfire, and Wine. Some folks also said we have to throw weed and whiskey in there, but we're working.
That hasn't been finalized yet, but I also have signed up to attend the Special District Leadership Academy. on core governance training. I spoke with one of my fellow board members, and I think I got a couple more board members going to be,
We're going.
attending also. That's September 18th through the 21st coming up here next month, September 18th to 21st. Also, JPI puts on some training for operations, HR. They got involving alcohol, and here's the classes. This one's in San Diego, the 18th and the 19th. Earlier this year in March, they had one of these in Sacramento. They're probably going to do the same thing again next year. I'd really encourage, I mean, a few of ours on traffic control and flagger, performance appraisals, drug and alcohol, reasonable suspicion, ergonomics, accident investigation, trenching and excavation, fall protection, confined space, peer to boss, discrimination and harassment, hazard ID, and electrical safety. I mean, things that we deal with every single one of these. And I'm sure we got a lot of education and a lot of classes, and I'm sure there's online stuff, but a 2-day seminar in Sacramento, I think would be helpful for if we can involve our group with that. And that's it.
Thank you, Scott. Jeff, do you have anything?
No, nothing to report.
All right, Russ, he's back.
Yeah, first thing I want to say is how nice it is to be here instead of looking through the camera.
Yeah.
So, I appreciate your indulging me the opportunity to zoom in, as it were. I will have to say that if you ever have any, kind of serious health problems at the Mayo Clinic in Phoenix, Arizona is a go-to place. So,
Try and avoid it.
Yeah.
Go there at the first indication that you need a special. Really fun. And I want to really emphasize that I had such a positive interaction with every staff member down there. So it's really most sad that it came to an end. It's the last day.
I hear the service improves if you serenade them in song. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, that part.
Okay.
Oh, you didn't tell me that part. You were singing for him?
Now the CSDA thing, Scott, you're going, but the only reason I'm going is because I heard that you were going to be one of the instructors.
Yeah. I do instruction all year long. I'm gonna let someone else do it for those 2 days.
Let's see. Oh, also, one is not supposed to be doing any campaigning on CCWD property, but I do want to announce, in case you were wondering, as I have filed the papers to be reelected for this election in November.
When's that?
Ends Friday,
Friday.
this Friday.
It closes this Friday?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
So we have
Hope all your opponents are watching.
I know. Watching closely.
Which is probably why we should move on.
Take that part out.
Oh, and I don't know, it just struck me that this front page mention of Jerry Gladbach passing away. He was quite an influential person. Fortunately, I didn't get to know him other than about a year and a half ago, but it's pretty significant that he had enough influence that if it hadn't been for him kind of getting behind Pam Tobin, somebody else would be president of Aqua right now.
He did nominate her that meeting. We were both at, yeah.
Yeah, well, it was the nominating committee had nominated somebody else, and he says, no, this thing.
Right. I remember that.
Nominated from the floor, right?
Yeah.
So, reading over his accomplishments of his life, I could see why people took notice of what he was saying.
Yeah, he was really giant in the water industry and was involved right up until the end. I saw him in a meeting, not just a few weeks before. He was still really active.
Yeah, it's President JPIA, every meeting I've ever been to, he was running it.
And I see these 200 people that went to DC. I had to look closely to see, you turned in expenses for that trip. I was.
You were really there.
I left my room to join the photograph.
I'm wondering.
He just had to make one meeting.
You set the bar pretty low, Ron.
But when you all arrived on a bus, did the mayor of DC file a complaint?
No, we didn't get on any buses.
Anyway, that's all.
That's it? All right, so I have the T-Stan IRWMS meeting next Wednesday. And we're looking for that alternate, for
Yeah.
Brad. I think Russ said he would like to, and he could, if you haven't selected anybody else. You may have already done that.
Oh,
It is
interesting.
allowed.
Yeah.
I checked with Carolyn and checked to see if he was interested. He's also my alternate. We just have to worry about if we all, because this is just for the Watershed Advisory Group, not the
Okay.
JPA. And we just have to make sure that we don't have 3 JPA board members there. So, but as an alternate, I could always make sure if he had to go, I wouldn't go. I usually do,
Okay.
but I
Let's-
go on everything, but it's an
we can Follow
option
up on that.
if you guys want.
Sure.
And so they are meeting in person at the TUD building again. And I believe there is a remote option to call in. Brad can do that. There's the Watershed Advisory Committee is meeting at 9 and JPA is at 11:30, I think. And then I also am going to be attending the Leadership Academy in Napa. And just the gentleman that did the public comment, is that something you want me to ask you to put on the agenda, or can you handle it based on his request?
Yeah, I think staff can handle it, but I'll follow up with you to make sure we
Okay.
close the loop on that.
Okay, I just want to address it one way or the other. Okay, that's all I have. The next board meetings, Wednesday, August 24th at 1 o'clock and Wednesday, September 14th at 1 o'clock. And if that's it, we're adjourned. At what time, Rebecca? 2:27. Are you good with that, Jeff? Well, there's hardly anything on the agenda. When I tried to get on the roll call.